Hey guys, Moneyman300 and got another tuning video here today. This time we have the Class C Honda Civic Mugen CRX, and this is a kind of a classic tuner car. So I thought I would get this one out. This is a grip tune on this, and I did it on for the Catalunya tracks, and it's really, you know, on any of the grip tracks going to work really well. It's a pretty popular car in this class, in C class, for grip tunes. So let's hop over onto the track and take a look at the lap. Okay, so here we are out on the track, and as you can see, this is just a replay of the lap. It was actually the third lap that I ran after I brought it out on the track, and I didn't have the recording, my Elgato going for whatever reason, so just save the replay and just show it here. This ends up being just inside the top 500. Not a spectacular lap, but as you can see as I go through the lap, I didn't really drive it very well either. This car's a blast to drive. It's very fast, it's quick, and it's really good on this track. There's like, I left seconds out on this track, literally. And you can see here in these couple of turns, I get sideways a couple times a little bit, like right there, just a little. It's got all kinds of acceleration and torque. I kind of came back here to C class, and I got a couple of C class tunes coming up here. I've been racing some A and R and S, and decided to come back to C and revisit a few of the cars that I didn't get a chance to make that I wanted to, and this was one of them. So, it's like I said, it's a good car. It's a kind of a classic tuner, as I already mentioned. So we kind of wind up around here, pretty good through this section of the track. Really, you know, make a decent turn there. I easily lose a half a second or a second in the last turn, literally. Because at this point I'm thinking, okay, I'm coming in here pretty good. This is probably gonna run me in about the top 200 somewhere. And I just clip this right here, and it just knocks me sideways. I don't know if I lost a whole second there, but I lost easily a half a second on that. But like I said, there's a couple of seconds left in there. It's a great car, a lot of fun to drive. Should be good in multiplayer and on the leaderboard. So let's hop on over to the garage and take a look. Okay, so here we are over in the garage. Let's hop in here and take a quick look. We'll start over here in the engine conversion area. And there's a couple of different things that you can do in here and that I have played around with, and I know some of the other people, you know, on the leaderboard have done. And that's, you can actually go up one on here. You have to sacrifice weight. And I don't think I had to sacrifice tire width, but I did have to sacrifice the weight in it, and I just didn't like the way that the car handled and accelerated as much. It's possible I could have turned a quicker lap time in there, but it would have been more along the lines, I won't call it a miracle lap, but to have to run a really good lap and not able to do it consistently when I did that. So I actually just went back to the stock powertrain and just really liked the setup that I had on that one better. So we do have just the stock engine swap on that, no engine swap, and then I do have the positive displacement supercharger on there that you see used frequently in the lower classes. So that's our engine swap area. So let's hop over to the engine parts, and I'll have two parts on this. Number one, and this is where you always want to come first if you've done the aspiration conversion, and that's, I've got the full race positive displacement supercharger on there, and then the other one that I've got here, if we look, is the race exhaust, and those are the only two additional parts, and that brings us to the numbers here. So we've got 5.1 speed, 5.6 handling, 7.3 acceleration, 7.4 launch, and 6.1 braking. This is a grip car. It's a turner. It's quick. It's what I call quick. Can get through the turns, get in and out of the turns quickly. Not going to be a great high-speed car, but still very quick. Going to do well on a lot of tracks. The Catalunya tracks, the Laguna Seca type tracks, probably the smaller Yas Marina tracks, the new whatever beach, Laguna Beach. I always say that wrong. I don't know why, but the Long Beach. That's it. That's what I was thinking of. The new Long Beach tracks. So do well there. Also, let's hop on over to the platform and handling, and we're gonna have race everything here. I don't think there's anything I did in here that was not race. It's not a roll cage to put in there, but it does. Like I said, to get what you need back out of this, you actually have to drop this weight out. It's 236 pounds. I just didn't feel like I wanted to sacrifice that weight, and I didn't like the way it felt when I did it. So otherwise, we have race everything in here. Let's move on over to our drivetrain area, and I wonder if I had the clutch on here. I did. At one point I did when I did the engine swap, because it didn't cost anything, so you could put the race clutch on there. It doesn't actually do anything to your shift time, just gives you a couple extra pounds on there. So it's always good to check that out just in case. I do have the race transmission for those adjustable gear ratios on this one. Don't think I have the drive line. I did when I had the other engine in here, and then the race differential. Let's take a look at our tire compound. So we do have full race tire compound, since this is a grip build, and we also have full width, the 225s on the front and the 225s on the back as well. Our rims are going to be the BBS RKs, somewhere in the middle in that first group here, and you can find something. I think I did find that that was the best weight, so if you want to switch it up, you want to find something that is the same weight as that to get the most out of it. And then I have 17-inch wheels on the front and back. I guess I could have went 18. I just didn't really like the way the 18s looked. Yeah, you could, I guess, if you want to go bigger, but I have 17s on the front and on the back. And then finally, to round it out, we do have the Forza front and Forza rear. There aren't any other options. We took both of those, as we always do on our cars. So that is everything in the build. Let's hop on over and take a look at our tune here. So we have 28 in the front and 28 in the back. Pretty standard there. Sometimes I'll go lower, and I have one a little lower, and you could experiment around. That's really more of a feel thing for me than anything else. 5.31 is the gear ratio. This is something that the chart's off. There we go. This is something you could play around with a little bit. You could probably tune this to only use 5 speeds instead of 6, and it might help with a little bit of the torquiness and losing the back end, you know, tendency to lose that back end out there a little bit. So you could drop this down probably in like the 4.2 type of area and eliminate that 6th gear, and it may even help a little bit. I didn't experiment with that, but that's something you could do if it's just a little bit too torquey and you're winding through the gears a little more than you'd like to. We do have negative 2.5 and negative 3.4. This is something, I don't know if I believe I've uploaded a video or two that did have more camber in the rear than it does in the back. And this is something that does not work on every car, but there are some that works on. This happens to be one of them. I was just struggling keeping the rear end planted really in the mid to end turn, and I couldn't tune it out anymore with the springs or the roll bars. So I went and tried the adding a lot more rear negative camber, and that really worked. It really hooked up nicely, and it worked well. I've had other cars I did that for, and it got squirrely and goofy and would almost hook up too much and cause me to kind of really dart out of a turn. So it's something you can play around with on your tunes. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, but in this case it actually worked really well. So we have a negative 2.5 and negative 3.4 for the front and rear camber, and then no toe. That's the default, and I normally don't play around with that unless I really have to. And just left the caster angle at default. I actually tried it at 5.5 and I tried it at 4.5. I didn't like it at either one of them. It actually felt better at 5.0. Both of them, one of them, I don't remember which it was, one of them created a little bit of understeer, and the other one caused it to be a little bit twitchy, and actually that same kind of feeling that I've had when I added too much camber and it just hooked up way too much. So 5.0 felt really good right there, so we just left that. 25.02 and 19.01 on the roll bars. You see that is slightly what we would call understeer tuned, and that's oh, I forgot a very key component of this this whole build. It's a good thing I just thought of that. I'm like, why is it understeer tuned on a front wheel drive? Because this isn't front wheel drive. This is probably the most important part of this, is that you need to do the rear wheel drive conversion here. This car is a lot better rear wheel drive than it is front wheel drive. So you want to make sure you come in here and do this, or you are going to be, and I'll make sure I put a note in early on just to let people know that that's in there. But yeah, this is a rear wheel drive build. So glad I remembered that. So as such, you're going to see these being a little bit understeer tuned, meaning that the front's going to be a little bit stiffer than the rear. So 25.02 and 19.01 on our anti-roll bars. For the springs, we have 473.5 in the front, 357 even in the rear, and then 5.4 and 5.8. I did raise the height a little bit. Some of those bumps and things on Catalunya can really knock you off, and you see even at the end there I still got bumped off just a little bit, probably not because of the ride height, but I do have those at 5.4 and 5.8. Or dampening, very stiff, and I went all the way down to 1.0, and you can get away with this in the lower classes in your bump stiffness. So I have 10.5, 9.0, 1.0, and 1.0 in the bump stiffness area. Took all the aero out of it, so no aero. Well, it's got 50 and 115, I guess, but all the way to the left. 53 and 140, so a little higher brake pressure. I've been bumping my brake pressures up. It felt good this way. So this is a preferential, you know, whatever your preference is on the brakes. And then finally our differential was 40% and 8, so a little bit higher on that differential. It's not a super high horsepower car, so you are able to run a little bit higher acceleration differential there, and then our deceleration is at 8%. So that is all of the build and the numbers. Go out there. You can also, it is saved out there. You can download it under Moneyman 300 if you don't want to go through and put in all the numbers yourself. Otherwise, go ahead and build this up. It's a good car. I think you really like it. Thanks for watching, and we will catch you in the next one. Later.